Yo, what's good everyone? Happy Friday. Hope y'all have had a great week so far and got some good plans here for this weekend. Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 5 NFL DraftKings main slate. Like I always do, I'm going to go position by position talking about the plays that are sticking out to me, and as always we'll wrap up this video with a low priced option or sub 4K wide receiver play. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. We're going to kick things off here in the spreadsheet like we always do. In the top left hand corner with those highest implied game totals, there's definitely some games that I'm interested in here this week, a handful that have some high scoring potential, but I'm really interested in these highest implied team totals as well. A handful of teams here are projected to score 25 plus points, and a couple projected to score 4 plus touchdowns, so you can see that listed behind me there, and can use that as a reference point as I'm going through some of my favorite plays here today. And we're going to kick off some of my favorite plays there with the quarterbacks. Surprise, surprise, I got Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts listed on here once again. I talked about this in my cash video last week. These are probably going to be the top two cash quarterbacks all year long, especially if their price remains the same here in the low 8K range. Both got tremendous rushing upside. We know Josh Allen is a great passer, and Jalen Hurts has clearly improved on his passing this year as well. It helps when you bring in a guy like A.J. Brown. Now, Josh Allen is playing the Pittsburgh Steelers here this week at home, a team that is probably going to be figuring some things out with Kenny Pickett. He's likely going to make some mistakes in this game, especially considering that Bills' defense is very good, and I really don't see Pittsburgh keeping this game close, but the beautiful thing about the Bills is they don't seem to take their foot off the gas at any point in any game. So even if they do get out to an early lead in this game, I think they're going to go full board at least until the third quarter, and by then Josh Allen should have at least met 3x value at that current price of $8,200. He's scored 24 plus DraftKings points in every single game so far this year. Now, I really like this game here between the Cardinals and Philadelphia. There's a lot of shootout potential in that game, and while the Cards have started every single game so far really slow this year, they've been a very good team in the second half. And it's kind of been the opposite for Philadelphia because, while they get out to such a hot start in these games, they kind of just run the ball out in the second half. So I'm hoping that the Cardinals can keep things tight in the first half in this game, because if so, Jalen Hurts could have a monster game. And again, same scenario though, even if they are blowing out the Cardinals in the first half, Jalen Hurts has likely played well. And then Tom Brady here, if you're looking to save money, $6,000 is very reasonable. He played in that Sunday night game last week, and that was factored into the pricing here for Week 5. If they had come out with the pricing after that game, I think he'd be closer to $7,000. So I'm going to take advantage of that discount in a good matchup at home against the Atlanta Falcons. And look, the Buccaneers have lost 2 straight games here. Similar situation to Josh Allen. Not that the Bills have lost 2 straight, but I just don't foresee the Buccaneers taking their foot off the gas in this game, especially being that it is a divisional opponent. Brady here at $6,000 has healthy wide receivers again, so I do like him at that price. And the last thing I'll mention here is all 3 of these quarterbacks have the highest implied team total on this slate, which is very intriguing as well. Now moving over here to the running backs, and I want to mention this before I dive into these plays. There's a lot to love about the running backs this week on the tournament or GPP side of things, but I'm struggling a little bit more to lock these guys down on the cash side of things. You notice I got 7 running backs listed here on the spreadsheet. That's notoriously something I don't do. I usually condense that down 3 to 5 running backs, and so it's kind of a unique week for me here because there's a handful of guys that I think we could roster in our cash lineups. Now, if I'm paying up for a running back here this week, I like Austin Eckler and or Delvin Cook. You can see him listed as an honorable mention. I almost went with Derrick Henry as well at $8,200, but I just want to see him involved in the passing game one more week. I know he's been very good there the last 2 weeks, but 2 weeks ago when he saw 6 targets, that was a career high, and last week he saw 5 targets, obviously second career high. So yeah, I don't know if it's sustainable going forward, but if it is, someone I think we can consider going forward. The passing game has not been an issue here for Austin Eckler. He's seeing roughly a 20% target share in this Chargers offense, and I love the matchup here against Cleveland, who has not been very good at stopping the run this year, ranking 30th overall in rush DVOA. I don't mind pivoting to Delvin Cook either. I know he hasn't been fantastic this year, but this looks like a great get-right spot for him at home against the Chicago Bears, and honestly, I wouldn't even mind playing both of those running backs. I'll talk about that more once we get to the wide receivers. it'll make sense. Now, here's where things get interesting with the running backs. James Robinson, Ramondre Stevenson, and Breece Hall. I would notoriously consider those three running backs more so of tournament plays on a weekly basis, but they just snuck into my cash pool here this week. Let's start with James Robinson. Obviously, he did split carries last week with Travis Etienne, but I think that was largely due to the game script, playing from behind the entire game to Philadelphia, and that's really the first time we've seen the Jags trail by a substantial lead all year long. In those first three games, we saw James Robinson handle a majority of the work and get all the goal line work. And so if that's going to be the case here this week, I love the matchup for him here against the Houston Texans, who just cannot stop the run. They couldn't stop the run all of last year either, and ranked 29th overall in rush DVOA. So yes, I would notoriously consider Robinson more of a tournament play, but I think he's cash game viable here this week. And the same thing goes there for Ramondre Stevenson. He is legit splitting carries with Damian Harris, and I almost considered him as a cash game play as well, but I went with Stevenson because number one, he's more involved in the passing game. That is solidified. And number two, he's just slightly cheaper. Plus, I like the way he's been running the ball here over the past 2 weeks. He's looked very good, averaging about 5 yards per carry. And again, just a great matchup here for the New England Patriots at home. I think both him and Harris could find the end zone this week against the Detroit Lions, who, just like the Houston Texans, cannot stop the run whatsoever. We saw Rashad Penny run all over them last week, and they currently rank dead last in rush DVOA. So yeah, notoriously more of a tournament play for me, and I like him in tournaments this week, but at $5,500, it's not crazy to think that he could get 15, 16 DraftKings points and meet 3x value. And then with Breece Hall there, I like the increased usage we've seen from the rookie running back week by week, to where he played a season-high 66% of the offensive snaps last week with 19 touches. Really like that for a guy priced at $5,400, and he's being used in both the running game and the passing game. And I had mentioned last week I was a little concerned about his usage in the passing game, going from Joe Flacco, who loves to dump the ball off to his running backs, to Zach Wilson. And while he didn't see 11 targets last week like he did in week 3 with Joe Flacco, he still saw 6 targets last week, and these weren't just dump-off targets. The New York Jets are legit designing plays for Breece to be used in the passing game. So again, it comes down to the price and usage for him. If that's just going to continue to get better going forward, I don't mind him at all here at $5,400. Even though I would notoriously consider him more of a tournament play. And then I got a few honorable mentions listed there as well. I talked about Dalvin Cook earlier. Great matchup at home for him against the Chicago Bears, who have not been very good at stopping the run this year. I think it's a great get-right spot for him. Dameon Pierce looks like a legit, I don't want to say workhorse for the Houston Texans, but he's heavily involved in the rushing game. I like the burst of speed and big plays we've seen for him, and seems to be getting more involved in the passing game as well. And then Khalil Herbert there, I think he's a legit cash game play this week at $5,900, playing against the Minnesota Vikings if David Montgomery is out. Now folks, before we dive into the wide receivers here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. I got football content coming for you guys all year long. Alright, now diving into these wide receivers here, we're going to kick it off with Cooper Kupp, who is very expensive, we understand that, but leads the entire NFL with 52 targets through 4 weeks. This guy is averaging over double-digit targets per game. Second behind Josh Allen in DK points on the year. Yes, Josh Allen, the quarterback. I mean, Cooper Kupp is averaging quarterback numbers right now, close to 30 DraftKings points per game. So if you want to put him in your cash lineup, I have no problem with that. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to get there this week because I do want to pay up for my quarterback and likely one, if not maybe two of those running backs. So it's going to be tough for me to squeeze in Kupp, but if you play him in your cash lineup, you can't argue that volume and production. But as we were going through the running backs there, I mentioned I'd give you a little insight on possibly playing both Austin Eckler and Dalvin Cook. And here's how you can do that. You can play Chris Godwin, Chris Olave, and Zay Jones in your cash lineup while playing one of Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts and putting in Austin Eckler and Dalvin Cook. Now, you'll have to play the Cowboys defense and you'll likely have to punt at the tight end position, but you can make that work if you play these three guys here as your 3 wide receivers. Now, as I record this video here, it is Friday afternoon, and for those of us who have been playing NFL DFS for a while now, We always know that things change on the weekend. We get weather reports, injury reports, especially as the season progresses. But as of Friday afternoon, I think I'm legit going to play these three here as my wide receivers in my cash lineup because it allows me to pay up for a quarterback, two expensive running backs, and I don't mind punting at the tight end and defensive position. So with Chris Godwin here, came back last week from injury, played 83% of the offensive snaps and had damn near a 20% target share. That was 10 targets last week. If he's going to be getting that volume here again this week, I love the matchup for him in the slot. Against Falcons rookie cornerback D. Elford, Chris Godwin should have his way with him. Now, Chris Olave, we all know the story with this rookie wide receiver. He has been fantastic this year, leads the team with a 26% target share, and has a great matchup at home here this week against the Seattle Seahawks, whose defense can legit stop nothing and rank 32nd overall in pass DVOA. Plus, as of Friday afternoon, Michael Thomas is expected to be out here on Sunday once again, giving Chris Olave just a little extra boost. And then Zay Jones is expected back for the Jaguars again this week after missing week 4. It's a low-priced option here at $4,100, but I like the way that he was used in 2 of the first 3 weeks, where he saw 9+ targets in 2 of those games. And then I got a couple of honorable mentions there in Christian Kirk and Tyler Lockett. You know, Christian Kirk, good matchup at home just like Zay Jones, playing the Houston Texans. Clearly the number 1 wide receiver and pass catcher in this offense, and I'd love to spend up for him in my cash lineup, but getting that $2,500 in price savings to Zay Jones allows me to spend up at other positions. So yeah, Christian Kirk, definitely cash game viable, and I for sure want some exposure to him in my tournament lineups. The chemistry with him and Trevor Lawrence seems legit, and a lot of targets are being thrown his way. Same thing with Tyler Lockett. Geno Smith is surprising all of us. Really good price here at $5,600 for Lockett, who's now seen 8+ targets in 3 straight weeks. Now, just want to take a quick minute to talk about one of the sponsors on this channel, Lucra. If you have not downloaded Lucra, it is completely free to get started. I'm actually going to throw a QR code up on the screen here right now. You can scan this with your phone. It's going to download the app, and once it does that, it's going to give you my referral code, which is GRIFF, GRIFF, and give you $25 in free play money. Now, you can use that free play money to compete against anybody, friends, family, or someone random, and if you win those contests, you'll actually see that free play money convert to real cash. So if you win enough of your contests with that free play money, you might legit never have to deposit a single dollar on Lucra. You can just build a bankroll from there. So again, I'll throw that QR code up on the screen one more time. You can scan this with your phone here. It'll download the app, include my referral code GRIFF, GRIFF, and give you that $25 in free play money. And then I'm going to keep it really simple at the tight end and defensive positions this week. If I can afford Tyler Higbee, I want to get there at $4,300. He actually leads all tight ends across the NFL right now with 38 targets. Mark Andrews does have a higher percent of target share, but 25% target share here for Tyler Higbee, I don't mind that at all for a guy priced at $4,300. And if I do need to save money, and I very well could need to at this position, I think Pat Freiermuth there for the Pittsburgh Steelers is fine at $4,100. David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns, or Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets. I think all 3 of those guys are capable of hitting 3x value at their current price. And then when it comes to the defense, I think I'm just going to jam in the Cowboys for my cash lineup. I think the Panthers are fine too, playing at home against Jimmy G and the 49ers. But the Cowboys are creating a lot of pressure this year, and I like that against this offensive line for the Rams, who have not been very good. Losing Whitworth has been a huge hole for them this year. And let's just go through the numbers that I put off to the notes. Probably put way too many in here, but Dallas is allowing the 3rd least points per game in the NFL, less than 16 points per game. Ranked 1st in quarterback hits with 36. Tied for 2nd in sacks with 15, and ranked 3rd in opposing passer rating at 71.2. So yeah, I don't mind those numbers at all, especially going against that offensive line and Matthew Stafford, who has not been afraid to turn the ball over this year. And as always, we're going to wrap up the spreadsheet here with a low-priced option or sub-4K wide receiver play, and being that Michael Thomas is not going to play here in Week 5, I went with Marquez Callaway of the New Orleans Saints. Callaway actually led the entire group of wide receivers for the Saints last week in both snaps and routes run. He was also second on the team with 6 targets, just behind Chris Olave, who saw 7. Now, he ended up with 3 catches for 53 yards, but that led to 8.3 DraftKings points, and just short of 3x value at this current price. And again, being that Michael Thomas is out here this week, I suspect Callaway is going to have a very similar role. He's always got that deep threat potential as well, to where he could have 1 or 2 catches in this game and pay off his value at this price. And again, he's got a great matchup here at home against the Seattle Seahawks, who just legit cannot stop anything. We all saw them get just shredded by the Detroit Lions last week. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on Sunday as well. In the meantime, I'm out of here.